Hello Year 5, welcome to our first virtual maths lesson. What you guys are going to need today is some paper and a pencil, ready to have a go at some questions later on. To start with, I'll take you through a couple of questions on the board. And you'll have to bear with me as I write numbers with my mouse on my laptop, so we'll see how well this goes, eh? Now, we're going to have a look at compound shapes to start with. Just like we were looking at last Thursday, a compound shape is made up of two or more different shapes put together. Like this, we could say is two different rectangles. Either this is one and this is one, or we could split it up here as well into this rectangle and this rectangle. Now the big question is, how could we find the area of a compound shape? Much the way as we would find the area of any other shape. However, the first thing we need to do is partition it. Let's have a look at the first one. Okay, now here we are very lucky because the first shape has already been partitioned for us into three separate rectangles. So let's have a look at rectangle A. 6 times 3. Now I know 6 times 3, that's a nice easy one. 6 times 3, knowing my 6 times tables, that's going to be 18. Fantastic. So the area of A is 18 centimetres squared. Let's have a look at B. 3 times 4. Give you a second. Yep, it is 12. So let's change the colour so we don't get confused. 12 centimetres, 3 times 4. So the area of B is 12 centimetres squared. Can't quite put it in the right place because my head's in the way, so I'm just going to pop it there. And then the area of rectangle C is 2 times 5. Guys, I'm not even going to give you a second to work that one out. That's 10. I'm going to add that here. Go. So I've got the area of all three rectangles. How am I going to find out the area of all of it together? I'm going to add it up. So 18 plus 12 plus 10. Let's change that colour one more time. 8 plus 2 plus 0. Well, that's going to be 10. So I'm going to put my 0 in here. I'm going to carry my 1 over. I'm going to exchange my 1 over into the tens column. So I've got 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus my 10 from earlier, and that's going to be 40. So the area of the whole shape is 40 centimetres squared, and I've got to remember to put in that centimetres squared section there. Fantastic, but what do we do, guys, if we don't have all of the information? Let's have a look. Looking at this one, now the first thing I've noticed, it hasn't been partitioned. We're going to have to partition it ourselves. So let's see. I've got some handy pre-drawn lines. Think because I've got three different measurements along the top, I'm going to partition it vertically like this. Using some parallel lines, I've now got three rectangles just like before. This time I think I'm going to give them colours. So I've got a red one here, a green one here, and a pink one here. There you go. So let's have a look at the red rectangle first. So this one's nice and easy. 3 times 10. Again, guys, nice and simple. 3 times 10 is 30. So the area of my red rectangle is 30 centimetres squared. I've got to put in that squared at the top. Fantastic. Having a look now at the green rectangle, this is going to be a bit trickier because I don't have a measurement here. I'm going to have a look here. I can see that this one is missing a measurement. However, the parallel line over here is 10 centimetres. And I know that up here I've got 2 centimetres. Now, because this line is shorter than this line, I know I'm going to have to subtract 2 from 10. So 10 take away 2. This is now going to be 8 centimetres over here. And then we've got a nice easy job. 8 times 5. Again, using my 5 times tables or my 8 times tables, that is going to be 40 centimetres squared. There you go, popping in my centimetres. Let's see, that's a bit better, that M. Still a little bit dodgy. And then we've got our last one, 4 times 6. Easy peasy, our 6 times tables, getting a lot of work out today. 4 times 6, that is going to be 24. Let me change that colour. 24 94 centimetres squared. Now how do we find the area of the whole shape? Nice and simple. We add all of these rectangles together. So we're going to put a line in here, 4 down here, 30, add 40, add 20, that's going to be 94 centimetres squared. And that is the area of our full shape, even though that 4 is a little bit dodgy. Fantastic. Okay then, so the last thing we're going to look at is some tricky word problems using our area knowledge. What do we do when we're looking at word problems? Well, we've got to read it at least twice, and we've got to highlight and underline that key information so that we can work out what it is asking us to do. So I've copied it down here so I can do a bit of highlighting magic. Get my highlighter out. So each table in a classroom is 110 centimetres long and 55 centimetres wide. What is the area of each table in square centimetres and square metres? Now I know that's the first half of my question, so I'm going to just go back and highlight this. So each table in a classroom is 110 centimetres long and 55 centimetres wide. What is the area of each table in square centimetres, so centimetres squared, and square metres? So it's actually asking us this part of the question for 2 different answers. Okay, so it's going to ask us for the area of each table in centimetres squared. We've already got our centimetres. And then to exchange it into square metres or metres squared. So the first thing I'm going to do is work out the area of the table. Now I know that my area is my length times my width. Well, I've got my length here. That is 110 centimetres times 55 centimetres. Here we go. Now you can work this out any way you like, any way you find your multiplication easier. I'm going to partition this 110 because I know that times them by 100 and times them by 10 is easy peasy. So I'm going to do 55 times 100, which is 5,500. There we go. See if my pen can catch up to my mouth. And then we can do 55 times 10, which is 550. Oh, let's see if we can give that hat back to that 5. There we go. Then I just add it together and then I've got my whole calculation. So I've got 0 here, 50 here. Oh, I've got a 0 in my hundreds column. So I'm going to exchange that over here and that's going to make 6,050. That 6 is trying to run away. There we go. So I know that my centimetres is 6,050. Ooh. There we go. So I've got my centimetres squared. Now, what do we know about centimetres and metres? Well, we know that in every metre is 100 centimetres. So if I divide my centimetres by 100, I'm going to get my figure in metres. 6,050 divided by 100, well, that's going to be 60.5. We've got to remember that after our decimal point, we don't need to keep adding our zeros. So our 60.5 metres squared gives us the second part of our answer there. So let's have a look then at the second part of our question. Make sure that we know what it's asking us. So there are 20 tables in the classroom. What is the total area of all the tables in square metres? So 20 tables. There are 20 tables. Oh, let me get my highlighter instead. There are 20 tables in the classroom. What is the total area of all the tables in square metres? Okay, so I know I'm going to need my 60.5 to help me out here. So I'm going to take my 60.5 and I'm going to put it back down here, preferably in a darker colour so we can see. There we go, 60.5. How many tables were there? Well, there were 20 tables, so I'm going to have to times 60 by 5 by 20. Now you can do this in several ways. Again, I'm going to times it by 2 and then by 10, and that will be timesing it by 20. So 60.5 times 2 is the same as doubling, so double 60 is 120, and then double my 0.5 is 1, so it's going to be 121, and then we are going to times that again by 10, just to make sure that we're timesing by 20 altogether, and that is going to give us 1,210. There we go. So the answer to the question of how much is the total area of all the tables in square meters is 1,210 meters squared, and it's got to be meters squared because we're finding out the area. Okay guys, here is where I'm going to hand over to you with our questions. We have got some easy challenges for you to have a go at in terms of finding the area of the whole shape. Again, you're going to have to find out the area of each rectangle and add it up to find the area of the total shape. Then you can go into some slightly trickier questions where you have to do the partitioning yourself. Double check that you are finding the lengths of the whole rectangle before you start adding the bits together. And then finally, I've got 3 word questions for you. This one in particular is our challenge for you today. Can you highlight the important information and find that out using your area knowledge? Have a fantastic day doing some maths area challenges, and I will see you tomorrow for another maths video.